everything took a lot longer than I thought it would to get started. Getting stuff ready for, because we're doing Christmas dinner a day early, so we're doing Christmas dinner tomorrow instead of on Christmas Day, on Tuesday. I was taking care of stuff and then wanted to spend some time with the kids before they went to bed, so... Oh. Okay.
Good day to you.
Right. What was I doing? I was trying not to fall asleep on on the controller last night. Blood lotus to the lake. Flowers to send a shrine. Locate Lord Wolseley and send him home. Confront Tanner in Redcliffe Village. Meet Felix in the Chantry. But before we do anything, we are going to go back here and do the war cancel and all of that stuff. Are you playing Subnautica over there, Molokai? He can't hear me. I'm probably only going to stream for around an hour. Maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. I'm not tired right now. And Malakai's going to be nice and let me sleep in tomorrow morning. So, yay for having him home so he can help take care of AJ. I was nice and got up with her this morning at 5:30. Between 5:30 and 6. She didn't get up to need anything until about 6:30 or so. But I woke up when she started making noises at 5:30 this morning, and I wasn't able to go back to sleep. So, and I didn't get to bed until, I wasn't able to go to sleep until like 2:30, 3 o'clock yesterday, last night. So.
You there. There's a shield in your hand. Block with it. If this man were your enemy, you'd be dead. Lieutenant, don't hold back. The recruits must prepare for a real fight, not a practice one.
Yes, Commander.
We've received a number of recruits. Locals from Haven and some pilgrims. None made quite the entrance you did.
At least I got everyone's attention.
That you did. I was recruited to the Inquisition in Kirkwall myself. I was there during the Mage Uprising. I saw firsthand the devastation it caused.
Sir.
Cassandra sought a solution. When she offered me a position, I left the Templars to join her cause. Now it seems we face
I don't
something
know,
far
but it
worse.
sounded like they were trying to come through the damn wall again.
The Conclave destroyed a giant hole in the sky. Things aren't looking good.
Which is why we're needed. The Chantry lost control of both Templars and Mages. Now they argue over a new divine while the breach remains. The Inquisition could act when the Chantry cannot. Our followers would be part of that. There's so much we can... Forgive me. I doubt you came here for a lecture.
Lois and Oblivion, thank you for the hosts. I appreciate it. I mean, I would say this, but I don't think I mean it flirtingly.
No, but if you have one prepared, I'd love to hear it.
Another time, perhaps.
Oh god, that smile, though.
There's still a lot of work ahead.
Commander, Sir Ryden has a report on our supply lines.
As I was saying. Was there something you needed?
Is there anything I should know?
The Lord Seeker's actions are a mystery, but the Templars will aid us. They cannot sit idle while the breach remains.
Why would Templars break away from the Chantry?
The Order believes the Chantry no longer supports their efforts. Not to the extent they should.
But the Templars have served the Chantry for ages.
And in that time, they've come to take the Order's services for granted. Templars risk their lives against blood magic, demons, abominations, to feel as if those efforts are dismissed. I may disagree with the Order's actions, but I'm here as proof of that. But I sympathize with their frustrations.
What do you think of the people you work with?
Is that time already?
What do you think of our ambassador?
We have little in common. How she delights in meeting with nobles all day is
It's okay.
beyond me. But I enjoy working with her.
How do you like working with Leliana?
The Inquisition would not exist without her. I may not always agree with her methods, but she's more passionate about our cause than anyone. Cassandra may have declared the Inquisition publicly, but Liliana is just as responsible for its formation.
Are you satisfied with the Inquisition's forces?
Our numbers are small, but they suit our needs for the time being. Some Templars have joined us instead of following the Order. They've proven invaluable in training new recruits.
I should let you get back to work.
Yeah, but we're not.
Yes?
I'd like to know more about the Templars.
If you need insight into what the Order is doing now, I'm afraid I can't offer more than you already know. Anything else, I will answer as best I can.
Why did you join the Order?
I could think of no better calling than to protect those in need. I used to beg the Templars as our local chantry to teach me. At first, they merely humored me. I must have shown promise, or at least a willingness to learn. The Knight Captain spoke to my parents on my behalf. They agreed to send me for training. I was 13 when I left home.
13? That's still so young.
I wasn't the youngest there. Some children are promised to the Order at infancy. Still, I didn't take on full responsibilities until I was 18. The Order sees you trained and educated first.
What about your family? Did you miss them?
Of course. But there were many my age who felt the same. We learned to look out for one another.
Do the Templars do anything besides hunt mages?
Templars protect against the dangers of magic. Before the Order left the Chantry, that meant serving in a circle. They were also tasked with tracking apostates, or fighting demons inevitably summoned by the weak or malicious.
What do you think of mages? Are they all a threat?
I've seen the suffering magic can inflict. I've treated mages with distrust because of it, at times without cause. That was unworthy of me. I will try not to do so here. Not that I want mages moving through our base completely unchecked. We need safeguards in place to protect people, including mages, from possession, at least.
You've lived in the Circle. What was a typical day for a Templar there?
Typical. The last time I was in a circle was right before it fell apart. Nothing was typical.
Before that, then?
Certain rituals require a full guard. A mage's howling, for instance. I've attended a few. Most of the time, you merely maintain a presence, on patrol or in the circle, ready to respond if needed. Mages pretend to ignore that presence, but they're watching you just as closely.
Do Templars and mages never speak to each other?
Some do, but Templars are supposed to maintain a certain distance from their charges. If a mage is possessed or uses blood magic, you must act quickly, without hesitation. Your judgment cannot be clouded. Of course, ignoring one another does nothing to foster understanding.
What does Templar training involve?
There is weapon and combat training. Even without their abilities, Templars are among the best warriors in Thedas. Initiates must also memorize portions of the Chant of Light, study history, and improve their mental focus.
Did you enjoy your training?
I wanted to learn everything. If I was giving my life to this, I would be the best Templar I could.
You were a model student.
I wanted to be. I wasn't always successful. Watching a candle burn down while reciting the Chant of Transfigurations wasn't the most exciting task. I admit, my mind sometimes wandered.
Do Templars take vows? I swear to the Maker to watch all the mages. That sort of thing.
There's a vigil first. You're meant to be at peace during that time, but your life is about to change. When it's over, you give yourself to a life of service. That's when you're given a filter, your first draft of lyrium and its power. As Templars, we are not to seek wealth or acknowledgement. Our lives belong to the Maker and the path we have chosen.
A life of service and sacrifice. Are Templars also expected to give up physical temptations?
I didn't mean to flirt.
Why... why would you... That's not expected. Templars can marry, although there are rules around it, and the Order must grant permission. Some may choose to give up more to prove their devotion, but it's not required.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone for a minute.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
I'm sure you have other matters to attend.
Hold on,
Was there
not done
something
yet.
you needed?
I should get to know you better. We are working together after all.
What would you like to know?
All right. Where are you from?
Oh, there we go. How to act for Eldon. My esteemed Lady Sidonia, I'd like to take full responsibility for Lady Marchelette's odd behavior of late. You see, we recently began the study of history. I thought that it would do the young mistress some good to be exposed to all Thedosian cultures, and not just Orlais. It was a foolish thought. Regrettably, your dear daughter has taken a particular interest in the Ferelden folklore. She first developed an affinity for King Calenad, which seemed to have devolved into a borderline infatuation. She stared at me eyes wide when I told her how he unified the barbarians with his allegedly incomparable might and charisma. Every time I tried to move the lesson on to something more important, she insisted I tell her again about Calenad. While the Ferelden say his hair was twice as yellow as the sun, and his chin more chiseled than the tallest peak in the Frostbacks. Twice now I've had to tear down drawings she's tacked up in her bedroom of the man shirtless. Then we moved on to the werewolves, which was even worse. As you may already know, the Fereldans venerate the folk heroes Dane and Hafter. Dane was said to have been a werewolf, and Hafter to have descended from one. No enlightened man or woman could ever view such beast people with anything but revulsion. But you know Fereldans and their love of wildlife. Unfortunately, these tales of the wolfmen set the little mistress's imagination afire. When she suggested we put on a play for you and her lord father, I could not say no. I'm afraid that's why Marchelette was running through the mansion wearing wet furs and frightening the chambermaids. She was rehearsing a scene in which Hafter drives back the Darkspawn. I've been informed that some priceless family heirlooms were destroyed amidst all the confusion, and I cannot fully express my dismay. I understand if my abject failure as a tutor results in my immediate dismissal.
I grew up in Ferelden, near Honwood. I was transferred to Kirkwall shortly after the Blight. This is the first I've returned in almost 10 years.
Varric's from Kirkwall. Did you two know each other?
I knew he was friends with the champion of Kirkwall, but little else. We've spoken more since I joined the Inquisition, largely at Varric's insistence. Apparently, I spend too much time with a serious expression on my face, and it's bad for my health.
You haven't seen Ferelden in 10 years. Are you glad to be back?
I was not sorry to leave at the time. I did not expect to return. Now, between the Divine's murder and the breach, I've arrived to find nothing but chaos.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight. Did you fight Darkstorm?
Excuse me.
No. I was stationed at Ferelden's Circle Tower. The Circle had troubles of its own. I remained there during the Blight.
What happened at the Circle Tower?
Few who survived the Blight have fond memories of that time. I would prefer not to speak of it.
What was Kirkwall like?
While I was there, Canary occupied and then attacked the city. The Viscount's murder caused political unrest. Between Mages and Templars fell apart, an apostate blew up the Chantry, and the Knight Commander went mad. Other than that, it was fine.
What happened between Kirkwall's Mages and Templars?
You were at the Conclave. You must have heard people speak of it.
Yes, but you were there.
What's up, baby girl?
There was tension between Mages and Templars
Tony's in the shower.
long before I arrived. Eventually, it reached a breaking point. There was fighting in the streets. Abominations began killing both sides. It was a nightmare.
What happened then?
The Templars should have restored order, but Red Lyrium had driven Knight Commander Meredith mad. She threatened to kill Kirkwall's champion, turned on her own men. I'm not sure how far she would have gone. Too far.
So you opposed her?
I stood with the champion against her, in the end. I should have seen through Meredith sooner.
I'll let you return to your work.
I'm sure you have other matters to attend.
It occurs to me I don't actually know much about you.
What do you want to know?
I'm not sure. Where are you from?
Oh, okay, thank you for the bits. Yay.
I was born in Ostwick, and that's where most of my family is.
The
You're very, very
Trevelyan's, is it
sweet, and I
not?
love you.
A large clan with a rather clever coat of arms. Tell me, do you consider the Free Marches your home? Are you eager to go back?
I might, once this is done.
It will not be the same once you do.
I'd like to get to know you better.
You would?
Is that a problem?
Not entirely. I'm just curious as to your motivation.
No motivation, beyond making things between us less...
Antagonistic?
Exactly.
As you wish. My name is Cassandra Pentecost, daughter of the Royal House of Navarra, 78th in line for the Navarran throne. I joined the Seekers of Truth as a young woman, and was with the Order until they withdrew from the Chantry. I remained as the Divine's right hand, carrying out her order to form the Inquisition. And here we are. That's all there is to know, my lady.
You're a member of Navarra's royal family.
The Pentecosts are a very large clan. Half of Cumberland could say the same.
Really?
No, but it feels that way. I have hundreds of relatives so distant they need charts to prove we're related at all. And they have them. Oh yes. The Pentecosts value their precious blood like it runs with gold.
And you joined the Seekers to get away from that?
It was a life worth getting away from. The Pentecosts are famed for dragon hunting, but few actually pursue the craft. Most are fat and lazy. They pay lip service to the Maker and care only for idle pleasures and past glories. My brother was all that kept me in Navarra. Once he was gone, So was I.
Tell me about your brother.
I would prefer not to speak of Anthony. Another time, perhaps.
You don't seem to like your homeland much.
My family polluted it for me. What little I saw of my homeland was through the bars of a gilded cage. My uncle treated me like a porcelain doll to be placed on a shelf and dusted only when necessary. Thus I did not see Navarra, the real Navarra, until much later. By then I realized I knew it not at all.
Your uncle? What about your parents?
They had the misfortune of taking the wrong side in the second attempt to overthrow King Marcus. The king executed them, but spared my brother and I since we were family and children at the time. Thus we were raised by my uncle, a mortalitasi who preferred the company of his corpses to the living.
Your uncle was a mortalitasi?
A death mage. He still is. My countrymen do not burn the dead, they bury them in special crypts. The mortalitasi supervise the crypts, like priests. Uncle Vestalis oversees the grand necropolis. Nevarans spend more time honoring dead relatives than they do with living ones. It is odd to be so fascinated with death and its trappings. I will never understand it.
So you were the right hand to the divine?
To Divine Justinia, yes. And Divine Beatrix before her, in fact. The position is normally reserved for Templars of the Knights Divine, but my circumstances were unusual.
Unusual how?
You don't know the story? Thank the Maker. I will tell you if you wish, but it isn't as exciting as some drum it up to be. The short version is that I once saved the previous Divine's life. My reward was becoming her right hand.
But what does a right hand do, exactly?
What is your hand capable of? It gives, it takes, it beckons. It makes a fist. Liliana and I extended the Divine's reach beyond the Grand Cathedral. We went where she could not. After Beatrix, I was tired of the position and wanted to return to the Seekers. But Justinia convinced me to stay. Her vision for the future gave me hope.
You thought she could really change things?
Justinian knew the war was coming long before it began. She tried to avert it, but the forces arrayed against her were too strong. Sometimes you have to break a bone so it can be reset. That's where the Inquisition comes in. It was to be the answer. A means to preserve as well as an agent for change.
No, I don't
wish
talk
she had
over
lived
them
to see
usually.
it.
So, what's the story about you becoming the right hand?
Sweet Andraste, do you really want to hear that? It was, what, 18, 20 years ago? Some still discuss it like it happened yesterday. The tale gets bigger each time it's told. I barely recognize myself within it now.
That's what happens with stories that become legends.
I am not a legend, nor was I then. I was a young woman barely out of training. To hear others tell it, I alone saved Divine Beatrix from a horde of dragons sent to assault the Grand Cathedral. Rather impressive for such a young seeker, wouldn't you say?
And the truth is?
I stumbled upon a conspiracy to kill Beatrix. A Templar knight command, and there was a dragon battle at the Grand Cathedral, but I had help from loyal mages who rallied to the cause. They freed the dragons from magical control.
Do what?
Without them, the Divine and I would both have died. Yet I became the right hand, and they are forgotten.
I...
What happened to the mages that helped you?
They went back to their circles, with rewards and privileges and most holy's gratitude. Many of them died at the conclave.
An impressive tale. I can see why people enjoy telling it.
Just wait till they start telling stories about you.
I'll let you get back to work.
Okay, yay for talking to people. Krem? Oh, Krem.
What can I do for you?
More talkies. I didn't know I'd have everybody to talk
about
to.
the Bull's charges?
Best company you'll find from here to the Anderfells. In my time with the Chief, we've gone up against everything from bandits to magic trees. We're expensive, but you'll never doubt we're worth it. Want to know anything in particular?
Do the charges specialize in anything from a tactical standpoint?
Bull doesn't want us large enough to work as an army. We're better as shock troops or skirmishers. We've got archers for hitting enemy infantry, Dalish with more archery, and Skinner and her people on the flanks. Rocky handles fortifications and traps, and Stitches keeps us all fighting. They mostly hold back. I'll lead the frontline fighters with Grim, and the Chief goes wherever he can hit something.
Are there rules for how mercenaries operate?
If you don't want some noble to treat you like bandits, yes. There's also a code of conduct most companies hold to. Keeps things civilized on the battlefield. We accept surrenders for ransom from mercenaries, nobles, and soldiers wearing a lord's colors. Our prisoners are treated well, injuries tended. We'd want the same for any of ours who got captured.
You said something about everything from bandits to magic trees. I'll admit to some curiosity.
Right. Sylvans. That's what Dalish called them. Apparently spirits can possess trees, too. Some noble in the Dales, and they really don't like it when you call them Dalish nobles, had a haunted forest. His family had abandoned the land, but he wanted it back. The Chief bought us all axes, and in we went. Between the axes and the torches, the Sylvans weren't too bad. Worst part was the squirrels.
Squirrels? I want to hear that story.
We'll talk later.
Hi, Mo. Merry Christmas.
They've got good form. Cullen's putting his Templar training to good use.
Did Cullen tell you he was a Templar? He's not wearing the armor.
He didn't have to. Might not be a Templar shield, but it's a Templar holding it. He angles the shield just a bit down. Helps
No
direct
problem.
fire or acid away, so it doesn't spray right
Not
into your
planning
face.
on
Canary learned the
being
same thing
up
when we
too
trained to
too
fight
long
defensive
myself,
mages.
because tomorrow we're
Templars
doing
doing good
Christmas with Grandma and Grandpa. Or my mom and dad. And then we've got Christmas to do on Christmas Day, too, so I'm gonna want sleep here soon myself.
You sound like you want to head down there and give the troops some pointers.
Nah, I'm no good at command unless I know who my guys are sleeping with and what they like to drink. Inquisition's already too large for that. The charges are big enough for
This
me.
guy does not
Biggest
sound
problem
like a
for the Inquisition
Canary.
right now isn't on the front line. It's at the top. You've got no leader, no Inquisitor.
The Inquisition has done all right so far without an Inquisitor.
That's because all we've needed so far is damage control, reaction. A group can handle that. Once you've sealed the breach, it's gonna be time to make decisions. Someone's gonna have to step up. Who knows? Maybe you sealed the breach. The Chantry gets off its ass and all those soldiers go home and get fat.
You think?
It could happen. It won't, but it could.
I like him. At least he's honest about things. Hello.
Feels good to be back at work, Inquisition. And lucky you have me. In lesser hands, you'd be in trouble. Haven can't support the mounts you need, but I can.
How are your charges? Well supplied?
Haven is growing
He's a
under
Canary.
weight.
There, it's not going to
Wasn't
be.
built for this, but we'll make it serve.
Heard anything worth noting?
Too busy to hear things, and that's how I like it.
Farewell.
Make her be with you.
You know what? I just got a couple more mounts.
These truths the Maker has revealed to me.
Ferelden Forder, we've seen that one already. Let's see what the...
Inquisition?
That horse...
There is
Oh!
one life, one death.
It looks like an Epona! If you play Zelda.
Is our Maker.
Oh, and I got a red heart. And a Brazilian surefoot. So we've got a red elk with the zebra stripes on his booty. And we've got
That'll do fine.
a beige elk. That one kind of reminds me of the deer in
Make me one with you, and let the world once more see your favor.
Princess Mononoke. And then we still have... Oh, we've got the actual bog
That'll do
unicorn.
fine.
Maker, though the darkness comes upon me, I shall embrace the light.
It's a black horse
Weather the
with a red mane and
I
tail
shall endure what you have
and
created.
legs. And that sword looks really red too. Holy crap, that's creepy. We got the Warmo. Oathbound Steed is basically just a reskin of the... You know what? Just for SNGs, I'm gonna get the Avar Warnug
Inquisition?
and have him out for a little while.
I'm glad there are big, strong men around in case anything.
Aqua.
Make her look at it. So much easier to ignore when it's far away. And to actually walk out of it, to be that close.
It's right there. We could take a trip if you're that curious.
I'm gonna have to decline. At least until I learn more about it. The breach, the Divine's death, the Wardens. It doesn't make sense. There's so much we don't know.
Yeah, she was fussing a little bit in her sleep. No, I usually let her sit for 5 or 10 minutes. She fussed a bit in her sleep, but she was fine. Thank you for washing the bottles out. It sounded like she was more fussing in her sleep because her legs were kind of tied up, or she got stuck in the crib again because she likes putting her arm underneath the mesh. She's still fussing. No, now she's fussing. Fuck. Are you sure?
Your experience with the Wardens will certainly be useful.
Mostly the treaties, I expect. Old parchments you're welcome to. What about you? How do you fit into all this?
I just want to help stop the war. Try to put things back in order.
A worthy goal, one I'm happy to support. For me, I'll be satisfied so long as we find the bastards that killed the Divine. They owe us some answers.
I agree.
I've heard rumors of abandoned Warden camps all over these parts. If we have time, I'd like to take a look. See if there's anything we can salvage.
What do you think of the Inquisition?
I expected more. More men, better equipment. You may have Andraste's favor, but wars are won by men, soldiers.
Yeah, you're gonna need to go in and feed her.
Brute force is not always the answer. There are plenty of other paths to victory.
Thank
True
you.
enough. Still, it never hurts to be prepared.
He's too
One
sweet
thing
to
I
me.
will say about your men, they're passionate, devoted. You inspire them. Build on that foundation, and you will have an army that makes nations tremble.
What do you think about all this trouble between the mages and Templars?
Looking at it from where we stand, it seems inevitable. But that could be hindsight. How many of us actually saw it coming? Either way, I don't think the Chantry will ever recover.
What do you think of Haven?
It's a war camp that was once a pilgrim's refuge. It's the state of the world, though, isn't it? Holy ground turned into a battlefield. Pity about that temple. Would have been nice to see it.
What do you think of the Inquisition's cause?
Restoring order is a goal I support wholeheartedly. But that's not the end of it, is it? Not by a half. The Lady Seeker believes we are restoring the Chantry. Others say it needs reform. I don't know where you stand on the matter, and I'll admit I haven't made up my mind either.
What do you think of my advisors?
Liliana seems nice. Also a little frightening, but mostly nice.
You're not saying that for my benefit, are you? Are you so certain you're being watched?
Are you so certain we aren't? I don't want to wake up with a blade in my kidneys if I can help it.
What do you think of my advisors?
Liliana seems nice. Also a little frightening, but mostly nice.
You must have some feelings about our friends.
Have you seen the stories Varric's been writing? His descriptions of me are colourful, to say the least.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge.
There was no word for heaven or for earth or sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out. The first
Okay, I don't have anything to say to these guys right now. Apparently, anyway.
Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow.
So we have
The Maker's will
There
is
was
written.
no word for heaven or for earth or sea or sky. All that existed was
This thing to stop. Whoa.
And his word became all that might be. Your report on the Seeker Fortress was excellent. It gave us information we dearly needed.
Thank you. I don't know. It used to be easy. Blame the mages or blame the Templars.
That simplistic thinking is fine for soldiers. You and I are more than that, Scout Pallane.
That attack on the Conclave wasn't the end. There's someone out there. Or something. It's not going to stop, is it?
I would be very much surprised if it did. With
Then I
passion's
suppose
breath does the
I should get back out
darkness
there.
breathe. It is the whisper in the night, the lie of the north. You built for them the golden city, the center of all creation.
Need something?
And for a time you dwelled among them, watched over them. As
I want to know more about Red Lyrium.
I'll tell you what I can.
I think that's enough on Red Lyrium.
Yeah, not really my favorite subject. Need something?
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Oh,
Thanks.
no problem.
My creator, judge me whole. Find me
Compulsive looting.
touch me with fire that I be cleansed. Tell me I have sung to your approval.
So, this is it, huh? Oh no, it's fine, yeah? It's just, I thought it'd be bigger. That would have been hilarious if you were a man, right? Wasted. Anyway, stopping wars should earn more sovereigns than this. Need things back to normal for coins to be flowing again. Another reason the Templars and mages need to be sat down.
I'm pretty sure the Conclave proved it's not that easy.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Why? Because someone yelled it real loud. Make them prove it. They're too busy to look up where the real questions are.
Right. They should know it's a simple job. End all war, stitch the sky. The easy one first, of course.
You're daft, yeah? Most people get special, they lose their snark. Can't see how stupid it all is. I think I like you, Lady Herald. Maybe you are a little touched, yeah?
I'm ready to give it a shot. That's all I can ask from anyone else.
I'm in. It's an investment, yeah? Better pay off, too. Stupid war and everything. I had things to do.
I completely forgot I got her, and she talks in circles.
Chasing the Lord Seeker, I hear. Anyone who thinks they need Lord in front of the name, that's bad. Bet
Just
you've got
because I
horrible
accidentally
causes.
flirted twice.
That's your first clue to a total arse. Fact.
Is the Inquisition what you thought it would be?
Calling an Inquisition is a bit much, isn't it? Not even know what they're chasing. Fair question for me as well, I suppose. Everybody following a rumor. At least I'm used to that.
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Which, the ones who do things or the ones who give orders?
Thoughts about Cassandra?
Not as buttoned up as she plays, right? Tough, though. I'd stand behind her in front of anything.
What about Solus?
Solus? His head's crammed up 1,000 years ago.
Anything
I
to
agree.
say about Varric?
Varric? Too clever. Always saying something, but never saying it straight.
Kinda like you do, lady. For the moment.
What's your opinion of Vivienne?
She's a bitch, but she knows. She better.
Thoughts on Iron Bull?
He makes me wonder about things. I mean, what do their women look like? Woof.
Any thoughts about Warden Blackwall?
He's too good, right? Like to see him out of that uniform. Not like that.
What do you think about our Spymaster, Ambassador, and Commander?
Liliana is pretty in places. Swear I've seen her too. Or heard she used to play. But that'd be mad. Now Josephine, she's as good at humbling her kind as I am. Just with less mess. Knows her business, if you have to have it. And Cullen, I suppose if you want a jackboot, you get a big one so you can grow into it. Nice hair, though.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here. Chasing mages, that's a Templar's job. A big, armored, pissed-off helm polisher. Not too late to go find some. Or stay home.
You apparently have a lot of friends. Tell me about your network.
It's not mine, right? I mean, it is, but it's also everyone. Everyone who wants to shove it to nobles who hide behind gold and silk. And hats, I guess.
Is Red Jenny real? Or was she always just you and your friends?
Dunno.
Don't you care?
Not if it works. I mean, red is scary because blood. And Jenny is... Look, nobody fears the bunch of people who do random stuff. And besides, it's easy. Nobles want a bogeyman because they need to believe normal people can't get at them. Numbers, right? It don't have to be so complicated.
It seems like it should be more complicated than that.
That's why you be bad at it and why I'm here. You don't want to play, don't play. That's simple too.
Are you just about pranks and revenge, or is there more to it?
Well, it's a weave, right? I grease a ballroom, so a wyvern chasing Git has to hunt sprained. Strangely, handmaids leave his vault open. His heirlooms pay off someone else. Maybe clean streets in Kirkwall so someone gets something else. Pish, pish, pish. A lot of people eventually get help or a laugh. Or maybe someone dead, if they deserve it.
I'm glad I met you before someone decided what I deserved.
You're no hateful ass so far. I'd just get you with a pie or something. Anyway, assassin's a bard's job, innit? No fun, that lot. They might plonk a noble, right? But only to raise another. Plus, I'm shy at singing.
We'll talk another time.
It's all good, innit?
Okay. She talks circles, but I'm getting used to how she talks.
I told you that it was complicated. Without the divine...
Morrigan, what are you doing?
And your fancy words. You think you sing a better chant than the rest of us, but you really only hear yourselves nattering on. We don't need a divine. We have the herald, and whatever she says is good enough for me.
Oh dear.
Hello.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Hello, goodbye.
Though you had granted them power over the very Fade itself. I don't understand. So they stand here, the Templars of
There were so many questions surrounding Farria's death. Did he think we wouldn't notice? He's killed Farria, one of my best agents, and knows where the others are. You know what must be done. Make it clean. Painless if you can. We were friends once.
It will be done.
I'm sorry you had to see that. Trust me. Everything I do is to protect our interests. Now, if you're happy, I have more work to do. Reports of Fade rifts and demons keep coming. The people are terrified, and it's only getting worse. The only thing that will calm their fears now is the hope that someone out there can save them. You have to be that someone. No one else has any power over the rifts. Seal them. Your legend will spread, and Thedas will learn to trust the Inquisition. Why do you want me to seek out the rebel mages? Why do you care? I've known mages. Some of them were better people than me. And yet I'm free and they're not. It's not right. They called you the left hand of the divine. That they did? What of it? What exactly does the left hand of the divine do? A divine always has enemies, and Justinia had more than most. I protected her. I watched, had an ear to every door. I identified threats, and I dealt with them. Why did Justinia have so many enemies? There were many who felt she was unfit to be divine. She had a past, a worldly life. Unlike many, she wasn't given to the Chantry as a child. She chose it, and somehow that made her unworthy. And because they thought she was unworthy, they wished her harm. It sounds like you did some unscrupulous things as the left hand. Perhaps, but wouldn't you do anything to protect what you love? I'd like to hear about Justinia. What was she like? A friend. A mentor. Like me, she had secrets, made mistakes. It made her human. I think her followers responded to that.
It's easier to relate to somebody that's like you. Sorry. Didn't realize I was gonna choke on a drink of my water.
How did you and Justinia meet? I met her a long time ago, before she became divine. Before she was Justinia. When I met her, she was Mother Dorothea. I was at my lowest. Broken, lost. And she saved me. No, wait. She hates it when I say that. I saved myself. She just showed me it was possible. Was there something more than friendship between you? You're asking if we were lovers? Typical. I was devoted to her, therefore it must be romantic. Love is common. Love is simple. My bond with Justinia was something greater. She was a sister, a mother, a teacher. So to answer your question, yes, it was more than friendship. We'll talk more later. It seems Blackwall knows nothing about the disappearance of the Grey Wardens. It's a disappointment. I am, however, glad that he is with us, even if he was not what I expected. He seems to be a good man, and his experience will be an asset to the Inquisition. As for the other Wardens, I suppose we will have to keep looking. Let's talk about you. Me? What did you do before you worked for the Divine? I trained to be a spy from a young age. Learned from the best. For a while, I was wildly happy. I loved the thrill of that life, the danger. But nothing lasts forever. I went into hiding, and when I emerged, the Divine called on me. She presented me with my own network of spies, and said I was the only one she could trust. You seem to know a great many people. I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable. You have a history with the Warden who entered the Blight, don't you? I had the privilege of calling her friend before she died. The world seemed much duller after that. It still does. You seem to know Josephine quite well. I met her a long time ago, but we didn't become good friends until years later. After the Blight, in fact. I'd just returned to Val Rayo, and she welcomed me back by throwing a diplomatic ball. She was the Antivan ambassador at the time, you see. The ball was... all right. Too many politicians. At midnight, Josie and I left to find a real party. We've been friends ever since. What do you consider a real party? It's not a real party until someone's small clothes are pinned to a chantry board. And that's all I'm saying about it. We can continue this conversation later. You know where I am.
Let all repeat the chant of light.
I met an elven mage earlier. Solus, I believe he was called. I admit I was surprised. I didn't expect to find mages among the Inquisition. Tell me, why were you at the Divine Conclave?
The war benefits no one. It must end. An order must be restored.
If only the rebels saw things so clearly. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
I'll try not to let them down.
Failure is a luxury we cannot afford, my dear.
For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
Nobody should claim to know the will of the Maker. Not me, and not the Chantry.
Perhaps nobody should. But if no one leads the way, many will be left behind in darkness. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me keep you. Yes?
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so long in the Circle.
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarrans or men. I have known some who were impossible to endure and some who were utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from nobles or tradesmen in Val Royaux. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant elements at bay.
If the Circle disbanded, how can you still belong to it?
The Circle is an idea, my dear, and an idea cannot be dissolved. Many of the first enchanters voted for rebellion, caring little that anything short of a unanimous decision would pit mage against mage. Rather than dissolving it, Grand Enchanter Fiona's vote split the Circle in two. The rebels follow her, the loyalists follow me.
I mean, I was kind of after the Loyalists in Dragon Age 2, so that kind of makes sense. Oh, he's a little chilly. Cold front started to move through.
If you led all the Loyalists, why are you only First Enchanter and not Grand Enchanter?
Grand Enchanters are elected, and since there are no First Enchanters besides myself, no vote could be held. I could name myself Grand Enchanter, but the title holds no meaning now. When the circles are restored, that will change.
What was it like to live in a circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of circle life unique to themselves. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
Oh my goodness, I cannot stop yawning.
You must have been under constant supervision, being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's estate. I've never been forced to live anywhere. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own or in service to the nobility. All that was required was permission from the First Enchanter. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite permissive. Perhaps too permissive, in retrospect.
So tell me about your personal experience with the Circle.
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an edifice devoted to knowledge and refinement. And mages need the company of other mages. No one else can truly understand the challenges we face, nor see the world as we do.
How did we come to this state with the Circles in revolt?
A failure of perspective that infected Circle leadership. Mages lived solely in a world of Templars and mages. They could not even imagine what was beyond the tower walls. Kirkwall gave the world a reason to remember its fear of magic. A mage killed hundreds with a snap of their fingers. Across Thedas, a new tangible fear of magic grew. Commoners and nobles alike called out to the Chantry for protection. But the malcontents in the towers thought nothing of this. They cared only for themselves and for their anger at the new Templar restrictions. When a mage attempted to assassinate Divine Justinia, again, the mages protested the investigation. The leadership chose to vote on independence based on the intolerable conditions imposed by the Templars, sparing no thought to the fact that magic was more feared in the aftermath of these attacks than it had been since Tevinter's day. So long as they had their freedom, they could care little for riots, angry mobs, or about pitting mages against each other.
I thought the fighting was only between mages and Templars. Why are mages fighting mages?
The vote for independence was carried by only a small margin, but Fiona chose to let the motion stand. Those who opposed a rash declaration of war against the entire free world had little choice. By breaking from the Chantry when they did, the rebels declared themselves in support of mass murder. Anyone who did not wish to support terrorism and the slaughter of innocents was forced to take arms against the rebels.
Did they have cause to rebel?
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really the most opportune time to break away? By all means, protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale murder. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
Are you familiar with Grand Enchanter Fiona?
We've met. Before her horrendously ill-timed and selfish vote for independence, I thought her adequate at her job. In her dotage, she could not handle looking after the well-being of so many people. We would have done better to replace her years ago, to let her spend time gardening.
Okay then.
Thank you for all. Greetings, Herald of Andraste.
Can you tell me how our people are doing?
What would you like to know?
Ah, Lady Trevelyan. May I have a moment?
Thank you. If you find anything, please bring it in. You're the Herald. Or, well, the one they're calling the Herald, anyway. I hope the Inquisition can restore order soon. I never really wanted to leave the Circle. My name is Maeve. I research demons and other creatures. Seeker Pentagast and I use what I find to help the soldiers fight them.
I found something the demons left behind. Can you use it?
Yes, that's very helpful. Just leave it there and the Tranquil and I will examine it.
Yes, Ambassador?
I'd like to discuss your parents.
You must want to know about the 7th most illustrious family in all Ostwick. Or is it 8th?
Whatever the rank, it would be helpful to claim your kinsmen as friends. What are your thoughts? Should we approach your family for their formal support of the Inquisition?
The bands of Trevelyan never turn down a partner if there's something in it for them. From the way my relatives scramble for status, you'd think we were all Legion.
That depends. How much do they like gold brocade? Valroyo has noted your lineage. It gives the Inquisition some legitimacy, although not so much as we'd hoped.
Why not?
You are from Ostwick. Our Legion nobles consider the Free Marches somewhat quaint.
Or legions are just baffled free marchers governing themselves without an empress to hold their hands.
A peasant might get away with that insult, but not someone of your stature. Speaking of which, I should thank you for your patience with the simple quarters. The accommodations in Haven are surely rough for someone of your birth.
This can't be what you're accustomed to, Ambassador.
One adjusts. I stay busy. It helps take my mind from our surroundings. And the cold. And the wildlife. And the lack of civilization for miles around. Why anyone lived here before we found Andraste's ashes, I cannot imagine.
Don't worry about me. Haven's more than livable.
Really? If that is how you feel, I'm pleased to hear it. Until next time, my lady.
Okay, I hate to say it, but I think this one's just gonna be a catching up on conversations video. Because if you've noticed, I have taken longer and longer to respawn. That's because I'm falling asleep on the controller. I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna turn everything off.
Has Cassandra spoken to you about my new recruits?
They are not your recruits, Commander. They're ours.
Inquisitor, our people have fleshed out something big and stubborn. You're seeking a mount that spoke to the tenacity of the Inquisition in this. Frankly, I'm not sure what to say, but it is definitely a mount and it's definitely tenacious. I'm not sure what to say except that the stables now have a new resident. And to echo the report from our people, that is one big nug. Interestingly, the ruins are Almari in origin, belonging to the tribes that inhabit Ferelden almost 1,000 years ago. What is of greater interest, however, is that none of the runes are translated intelligibly, meaning it is all in code. According to the translators, a reference to the Guardian also indicates an island off the northern coast. Most curious. I will continue translation efforts in the hope we can narrow this down further. Okay. Mari ruins found in the mountain passages outside Haven have finally given up more of their northern coast to the Ferelden. Island is quite large and covered in dense wilderness, so searching it will be an involved process according to the ruins. However, there should be some connection to the original disciplines of disciples of Andraste and the Guardian of Sacred Ashes. I think Liliana should go on this one.
Let's see what we have.
4 hours. I do not know how someone would come to this idea, but I can see the use. It is a large area to search, however. Memo from Josephine written on a note from Sarah. I know what ruins a party bees. I know a man who teaches how to draw them safe but angry, stinging, no good for honey, but great for throwing. He's somewhere south.
All right.
At your service.
Okay. I am gonna go ahead and put this away. I appreciate you guys coming out, but I am literally falling asleep on you guys. Like, no joke. I just dozed off for a second. So, I might see you guys tomorrow. I might not. We'll see how tomorrow during the day goes. But for now, thank you guys so much for coming out. Do that awesome thing you do and stay yourselves, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I am so sorry I was starting to fall asleep on you guys. Have a good night. Bye.